public hearings here tonight. After those are concluded, we'll lead into our regular plan commission agenda. We'll have each applicant discuss what their application is and give their spiel. And then after that, public will have a chance to ask questions, who direct those questions to us. Everyone will ask a few questions and then we'll hold up for a second, let the applicant answer them and then repeat as necessary. Once the plan commission meeting does start, it will be between the applicant and the board at that point. There will be no other public input. 6:40, start with roll call, please.
President Osterman.
Here.
Trustee Plotecker. Here. Inspector Ilhoffen is absent and excused. Commissioner Mouche is absent. Commissioner Eberly.
Here.
Commissioner Howard. Here. Commissioner McCormick.
Here.
Planner Sumwalt.
Here.
Attorney Macy.
Here.
Engineer Lysis.
Here.
Administrator Nicholas is absent and excused, and Clerk Capazzo Catch to record the minutes.
Thank you. All right, notice was given that public hearings would be held by the Lisbon Plan Commission on Wednesday, October 25th, 2023, during the regular Plan Commission meeting, which starts at 6:30 p.m. at the Richard Young Fire Station, North 54 West 26455 Lisbon Road, to solicit public comments on the following items. We have public hearing number 1, a request by Dave McCool, hopefully I said that right, Gospel Fellowship of Sussex for a major grading conditional use permit in the PI Public Institutional Zoning District related to construction of a building addition on the property located at North 74 West 25332 Howard Lane, LSPT 0208.989. Is the applicant starting, Orin, or are you?
Other one.
So this is a major grading, conditional use permit. Petitioner is requesting approval of this in association with the construction of approximately 4,437 square foot building addition and parking lot addition. Existing church. Standard is 15,000 square feet area of disturbance or yards requires maybe petitioner has provided responses and evidence in support of the general use considerations and the specific conditional considerations for that. Have representatives.
Petitioner wish to add anything?
We need to come up or?
Yeah, you'd have to come on up.
We have to unmute.
I think it's on. Just state your name and address, please.
Dave Michael, on behalf of Gospel Fellowship of Sussex. Thank you all for being here and for taking the time to look at our plans and our proposal. I think the summary is pretty straightforward. We're just doing an addition, adding in classroom space, and then we're also going to add some more parking.
So if I can add, the applicant has already received their permit from the county. So their stormwater management plan has been reviewed and approved. And I just received updated plans addressing our comments that you see within your packet today. So all of that has been addressed. And at this point, I don't see any issues with what was submitted. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Questions from the commission?
So the issue with the berm on the east side of the east side of the driveway was addressed? That was a question I think you had in your comments, at the engineer comments?
That one, I'd have to look at that. Again, it got sent today, so we'll still be reviewing what they had submitted and their responses to our comments. If that's still an issue, do you have an issue with that being there, I guess?
That retention pond, they hit water when they initially dug it. So it kind of bermed it. They had to raise it up a little bit and it still overflows over their driveway, which is why I assume is why you wanted the berm there. But during heavy rain events, my only concern is that the water won't be able to flow west as it naturally does now. It'll flow east onto the neighboring property.
We'll take a
Or
look
it'll
at,
flow into the church.
We'll take a look at that, but again, that's more of a stormwater issue that was reviewed by the county, and I can take a look at that as well, but it was already approved by the county at this point. so.
Because like I said, that is notorious for flooding and they can probably attest to that.
You're right, the water table is very high.
very high,
In that area, and he did address that with some what was he calling it, curbs and gutters to take the rainwater off the church to get it through, and then he's also got some other provisions in there exactly for that reason. So those have been addressed, so we can talk about it more, absolutely.
John, anything?
Nope.
Joe,
I have nothing.
Becky?
I don't have anything.
Okay, at this point, we'd open it up to the public. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this public hearing?
If anyone on Zoom has any comments for the public hearing, please use the raise hand function and unmute yourself. No comments from Zoom.
Any other information that we need to discuss before we would close this public hearing? Anything for you, Mitch? Warren? Anything the applicant wishes to add before we close the public hearing? Any other questions from the commission?
No.
Right. And then close the first public hearing at 6:46. Go to public hearing number 2, request by Sue Wagner, EP McLaughlin Trust for an unspecified conditional use permit in the R2 Single Family Residential Village Shoreland R2 Single Family Residential, B2 Local Business, Village Shoreland B2 Local Business, and Upland Corridor and C1 Conservancy zoning districts related to non-conforming use of the property located at North 67 West 22070 McLaughlin Road, LSBT 0240.992.003. I think that is every single one of the possible things we could have. Warren?
So the petitioner is requesting conditional use approval to reduce the size of a parcel which contains a legal non-conforming use in association with a proposed 2-lot certified survey map. The subject property is non-conforming to section 3I 5GI of the Lisbon zoning ordinance, as it has 3 existing principal buildings, which are single-family homes. And it has 3 existing accessory structures, which are detached garages for those homes. The code in section 3N3 states that conditional use status may be granted by the Plan Commission to existing legal nonconforming uses upon petition of the owner, where such use is determined to be not adverse to the public health, safety, and welfare, would not conflict with the spirit of or intent of the ordinance, or would not be otherwise detrimental to the community and particularly the surrounding neighborhood. So that's this proposal to split the lot in 2 is what precipitated this. Again, the homes are existing on the northern portion of this lot. And this CU, if granted, would memorialize the existing nonconformities and allow them to move forward with their proposed certified survey map. So the goal here is to split the northern portion, which is residential currently, from the southern portion, which is commercial, to allow the petitioner to sell those 2 portions separately. This would also create an opportunity for the southern portion of that lot to be developed commercially at some point in the future.
Hey, and I'm Michael Tomlin from Dickman Real Estate, working with the McLaughlin trustees. I guess the only additional note would be if you did request, if the public or the board request an additional 16 feet to the south on the CSM, they would be open to that.
That was the only question I had, was moving that lot line 16 feet south to make it 66 feet wide, which is fine. So that's the only concern I had. Otherwise, I'm fine with this.
John, anything?
Nope.
Jerry? Becky? No. Okay, I guess at this point, we'll then open it up to the public for public comments. Does anyone wish to make any public comments on this hearing?
If anyone on Zoom has any comments for this public hearing, please use the raise hand function.
Came in late. This is
If you would-
one for the church, is it?
No, that was the first one.
I guess I got.
Sure, we just have you come up, state your name and address if you would.
My name is John Metza, W220N6913 Town Line Road. I guess I don't understand what they're doing. That's those three little rental houses on the corner there. Yeah,
Yeah, so.
so they're gonna level the houses or what are they gonna do?
Nope, the houses are gonna stay. So they
It's
wanna,
gonna stay.
they wanna split the property at McLaughlin Road. So they want to have one lot that is the northern portion north of McLaughlin Road and one lot that is the southern portion south of McLaughlin Road. And they wanna keep those three homes there as they are today.
So the three homes are gonna be on two lots,
The three homes will be on the northern lot.
one lot, the northern
lot.
lot.
Yep.
And on the other side of the road will be the southern lot,
Yep, that's vacant currently, farmed.
and that's gonna be commercial.
It's zoned commercial. There's no development proposal at this time.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out what they're trying to do.
Sure.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to make any comments on this public hearing?
Well, I think we need to have a little bit of discussion on the 66 foot. Mr. Eberly, Commissioner Eberly has mentioned it. It came out of the staff recommendation, and that's merely what it is a staff recommendation that in the places that we can get 66 feet for potential, and this is not a recommendation at this time from staff that it be a public road, that there is the potentiality if they ever came in, that we would have some width. Now, it would be a great deal of work to make it a public road, and we're well aware of the fact that it probably never will be brought up to public road standards and be a public road, but at least it allows for that width if that width is needed. Also for snow plowing purposes and things like that. We're also recommending that everyone should know that McLaughlin Road is a private road. I'm sure everybody's aware of that fact, but it's been brought to my attention that there are three homes that use it, or two homes, I'm sorry. One of them has a driveway off of the main road. Two of the homes come off of McLaughlin. There is a lot to the west that comes off of, uses McLaughlin. And then all of the trailer park residences use McLaughlin. And the petitioners, they're here, the owners, they can clarify. I think there's, if my recollection is correct from staff meeting only, that there's sort of a well, recognized agreement as to how it's maintained. I don't know that that's in writing, but we are recommending that that in some way get, put into writing going forward, and you may disagree with that, and that, I just want you to know that that was part of the recommendation. It's in, and if we're gonna have discussion about it, you're discussion now. The trailer park is not, mobile home park is not asking for it. The property owner to the west has no obligation to maintain the private road, and they can't force it unless they volunteer. I just want to make that point. My understanding, and again, they're here, they'll correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm okay to be corrected. It's a sort of a handshake deal that it's a 50-50 between the trailer park and this property. And so we're eliminating the commercial portion of it. They won't have access. So if they can come back with anything they want that they can negotiate, but the bottom line, somebody should be responsible is the staff's. And if they can't get anyone else to agree, they know from our staff meeting that they would have the agreement would say they're responsible. Does that make sense?
The mobile home park currently owns that property that the road is on.
No, the property to the McLaughlin, this property that's being divided owns the private road. And the property to the north is going to continue to own the private road. And that the staff had no problem with. I mean, the staff recognizes that that's the current facts. We just didn't want the conflict with the commercial first. That's why we asked for the restriction of access to McLaughlin Road from lot 2. We asked for the width for the potentiality, and it's not the entire width because they don't own 66 feet, the entire width. That should be clear in your head. That's again, just potential. And then the third aspect was the potentiality of having something in writing for the maintenance. So when the staff gets called and says there's potholes or things, we say, that's a private agreement. And it's currently a private But some communities, as some of you would know, say this is the opportunity to at least get that understanding in writing. Does that make sense?
It does. I have a question. The way that I look at this CSM, McLaughlin Road does not run to the right of way of Town Line Road.
That's with a portion, if I'm understanding your comment, a portion of Town Line Road. There is an odd shape at the end, but I believe that's dedicated. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's correct.
It's
There's a
dedicated.
small dedicated area up.
Yeah, so
right along
it is
Town Line.
to McLaughlin, but not to the, it's a wider portion of Town Line Road.
Well, on sheet 2 of 4,
And the only reason we're bringing the CSM into the public hearing is because it's a portion of the legal non-conforming conditional use. Is the reason they have to have the legal non-conforming conditional use is the reducing the size of the parcel, so the CSM is certainly pertinent.
what I'm saying though is on sheet 2 of 4 of the CSM, the proposed CSM, McLaughlin Road does not run to the right of way of Town Line Road, I don't believe, because it doesn't. There's no indication on here, and there should be one, that says where the right of way line of Town Line Road is. Because the way I look at sheet 2 of 4, the east end of McLaughlin Road does not run to Town Line Road. It's on somebody else's property.
Okay, well, why don't you walk us through that?
To the south, you're saying, correct, sir?
No, to the east.
To the east.
You're saying it looks like it's up the unplatted E&M Geese property.
Yes,
Well, can we go to page 1 and let me make sure, and I can't tell if that says L6 or 97, but depends on.
it's
which-
L6.
Okay, L6, is that dedicated right away, Mitch?
That's where the dedicated right of way starts at L6.
L6 is dedicated.
L6 is sitting in the dedicated right of way. That is correct.
Where does it say that though, Mitch?
It doesn't say that on here.
I'm sure we could have Land
Wait,
Tech.
wait, wait, it
add
may
that.
already be dedicated, that's the point, if it's already dedicated, it doesn't have to be renoted.
Right.
But if it's, so your position, Mitch, the way it's drafted is L3 and L6 are currently dedicated right away.
Correct. To the right of way of Town Line Road or County Trunk Highway B. That is correct.
And how about to the north? What's dedicated and what's not dedicated? I mean, we got two slivers there. One is the one supposed to be L2, L25. Is that supposed to be dedicated, that box? Is everybody following where I'm at?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, I think it would be a lot clearer on here if there be a clear indication of the right of way line, the west right of way line of Town Line Road. Because somebody in the future is going to possibly argue about where this is, and it's gonna cost an awful lot. Now's the time to clean it up. If we had a clear indication on here where the right of way line, the west right of way line of County Trunk Highway V is, then when somebody goes to registered deeds office in 10 years and looks at this, they know where it is. To me, it's not clear on here where the right of way line is, because all it is, there's a note that says right of way line varies. Well, that to me is just,
If you, so if you look also though on page 1 of 4, the box that we were talking about, I believe it's L4 and L25. It does say there that they are dedicating that to the public for roadway purposes. So that portion is dedicated. The other part is already dedicated and it does not need to be renoted.
What's confusing is that dotted line, the one dotted line is like a range line or a town, that's
Yeah.
not the road right away line, that's
Correct.
that's a section, that's
a
the east
section line.
line.
Thank you,
yeah.
that was the word I was looking for. And then we have the lot lines, obviously, if you look at the properties to the north that haven't been platted, so they own part of the right of way. Correct? And we are trying to correct that by that box L2 And where is the note, Mitch? Is it under your note that says this is dedicated?
So my note that says move south property line, if you go just north of that, above the State Highway 74, Main Street, you'll see the dedicated to public for roadway purposes.
Oh, okay. Joe, Mr. Everly, do you see that?
I see that, but it doesn't. I'm just trying to be a lot better if they had a detail on this darn thing. but
Is the roundabout right there as well, which probably is why it says it varies?
No, that's just because.
So to your question, your offer, if it's already dedicated, it doesn't need to be rededicated.
Mhm.
And we knew this because we looked at the GIS, Joe. And then when we looked at the L6 and L3, we knew that that was already dedicated. And we had the same question, whether McLaughlin Road went all the way
Right.
out. And because we were analyzing where we could get the 66 feet and where we couldn't. And that brought up the same question you're raising is, does McLaughlin Road go all the way out or not?
Okay, I'm satisfied.
Okay, so back to, you will have to decide as part of your deliberation and conditions, whether or not, what type of private road, road agreement you're going to require, if any. Okay, and we've already said it was our recommendation. They've acquiesced and said, if you want the 66 feet where you can have it, they will. And are they willing to put the restriction on now?
And 16 feet, correct?
16 feet.
16 feet. Okay.
Where is the recommendation in your stuff, Orland, regarding this easement from the staff?
The maintenance agreement was sent on last Thursday.
Okay, so I've got a condition regarding the easements in the CSM report. It would be condition,
Okay, I see it.
number
It's in the
2,
written agreement.
but the actual comment pertaining to the 16 feet is in the engineer's review.
Okay. It says in your, under the CSM review that you did, the petitioner shall submit a written easement agreement and private road maintenance agreement for the review and approval as formed by the village administrator. But it doesn't say who it runs to.
Correct, and that's deliberate because they have to negotiate. If they can talk the neighbor to the west into participating, and that property owner is willing to. We don't know what's in writing, what's not in writing necessarily between the trailer park. As we do know, this was all the McLaughlins at one time. They own the trailer park, they own private road, they own this excess land. They're now dealing with the excess land, the trailer park's been sold, okay? We don't know for sure what the agreement is between them. So we couldn't say as a staff who had to take the responsibility. We just want to make sure someone takes the responsibility. Whether it's the trailer park takes the whole responsibility, lot 1 takes all the responsibility. We doubt that lot 2 would take any responsibility. They're not having access to it because we don't want to commingle with potential commercial business with already having all the trailer park business and the 2 homes and the home to the west and any potential. We have no idea whether you'll ever allow additional development on the lot 1 or not. That's down the road somewhere. Does that make sense? So they have to come back to us and all we do is want to make sure somebody's responsible. It could be lot 1. That may be the only ones that are responsible. You say you have a draft of one and I don't know if Kathy and if we've seen it or it's been sent over or not. Have we seen the draft of the?
We can resend. It's between the Schickmans and the McLaughlins. It's split 50-50 if I remember correctly. Currently,
That sounds correct. I know
Yeah.
Kathy looked at it.
they are the current owners of the trailer park, mobile home park.
To me, there's 2 separate issues here. The maintenance agreement, I understand what you're saying. However you split it, I don't really care. What I'm concerned about, it says the petitioner shall submit a written easement agreement. That's separate than the maintenance. Easements have to run amongst 2 or more parties. So I just wanna, because right now it's like a written easement agreement with who? I think we need to clarify that, whether that is between lot 1 and the trailer park or whomever. That's what I'm
It was
getting at.
contemplated by the staff, whomever their research shows has a right to use it. Is who is it? It's not really an easement agreement. I think that's, it's an easement and it's a maintenance agreement.
Right, and to me, those are two separate issues.
I think
we
maybe
respect-
because it's a private road.
Joe, we agree with you.
I just,
Staff- the
if
staff
we
agrees with-
approve.
All I'm saying is the easement is if the lot to the west has the right to use McLaughlin Road, which I assume they do, the easement has to be granted to them. That probably already exists.
Mhm.
And the easement between the trailer park and this subject property probably already exists. So we're not looking for anything new. We're just documenting for our files who has what the easements say. They don't have to present anything new. They just give us what the title company tells you exists. And if that's adequate, that's fine. And
But
she's
who's
already
gonna
got it.
decide if it's adequate or not?
The administrator after conferring with staff.
Okay.
We
wanna
deferred
beat a
since
dead
since
horse,
there would
but-
be input from the engineer, input from the planner, possibly input from the lawyer. We decided we would just defer to the administrator and your recommendation, your decision, and ultimately the board's would be to have her make the decision. Obviously, she brings it back if there's questions that the staff don't feel they can answer.
The dedicating, I guess, or giving an easement, whatever you wanna call it, the 16 extra feet. But they don't have this anyway, this is just, if at any point in the future they wanna dedicate with like.
There is no dedication, they're just keeping 16 feet.
Right.
Now, some people would call that a spite strip, but we're deliberately doing a spite strip because we don't want the commercial property to come on and we're trying to protect them. We could foresee the potentiality of years from now, somebody comes in and say, we want to dedicate that. We want to spend the money. We want to bring it up to town, village road standards, and we want to dedicate it. And we say, well, you're only 50 feet.
They aren't gonna dedicate.
But at least now they can say, we have as much as we can. And maybe they'd even get the other ends where they couldn't get it, maybe they could get it.
To get up to the 66.
66, but we felt the board would be more amenable if there was 66 in as much of it as there could be. Does that make sense? But it's not a deal breaker. It was just a recommendation.
Mhm.
Right, cause the only difference is that it potentially could never be dedicated then in the future.
Potential. It would assist their argument. And that's the only
And if
thing.
they
we-
never were gonna dedicate it, it wouldn't matter, but
Exactly.
As long as, my only concern is whatever this easement comes to be, whether it exists or is going to be created or whatever, is recorded with the CSM. So that somebody in the future, when they argue about, I can't get from point A to point B, here's a document that says you can. I just don't wanna create a mess like turned up north where some
Well, the-
people thought they had.
Well, the petitioner's here and she's raised up a document. She can come up to the standard she wants. I believe these easements all exist.
Can I
Okay,
share
that's
this with
fine.
you?
Yeah, you can, sure. We believe you. I don't think we weren't expecting and you can keep it, sir. You can submit it with the packet.
Yeah.
But for Mr. Eberly, we weren't expecting that necessarily there'd be any new easements. We just want to get on file what exists. Because we didn't think we should review the maintenance agreement in a vacuum.
No. I agree.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
no, that's fine. Maintenance agreement, you said you turned one into staff already?
Last Thursday, yes.
I saw it come through.
And you can say it. It looks acceptable. I mean, it shows that there's an agreement there and that it shows who's responsible and.
I would defer. I mean, you said Kathy was reviewing it though, right? And that's who.
That's my understanding, yes.
I believe it is this warranty deed that is transferable. So upon a closing of the northern portion, lot 1, that would be transferred to the new ownership.
To the village president's question, is it drafted that lot? Oh, no, you'd already told us. It's drafted that the trailer park and the lot 1 owners are required 50-50 to maintain.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Which is status quo, but may not
Mhm.
have been as
It
documented.
may not have been seen by everyone here on the board at this point.
Sean, anything? No. Sherry?
Nope.
Joe,
Thank you.
anything else? I'll open up in 1 second here. Becky, anything?
No, I don't
Okay.
have anything.
Open it up to public.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but these parcels all touch the creek on the west end, right?
Yeah,
Get around it, I think.
they do, yep.
They do,
Right over-
So I
you can-
just-
If you can see the screen where I've got my cursor going,
right?
that's the creek.
Right, and I guess I wanna make sure that consideration is being taken in that creek, because it seems as though every time something's done downstream from this creek, you're turning my property more and more into a lake, and that's gotta stop. They have to be responsible for making that flow through there. Because
You're speaking of this, we're gonna go commercial.
yeah, I mean, if they're going commercial, they have to definitely be responsible for that creek to maintain flowing through there. Because when that thing backs up, it's crazy, because all the houses that have been built to the north and to the west, they're all deferring their water into that creek now on overflows, you know. So I've lived on my property since 1981, and it's getting considerably worse every year. I don't know why I have to take on all this water all the time. But it seems as though my property takes it on, and then I get charged some large fee for watershed for my property. And I'm the one actually taking everybody else's watershed, so I don't understand it. So make sure that you take that in consideration when you're gonna start developing to the south here.
This is something we talk about in a lot of different plan commission meetings years
Yeah,
ago, 2000 earlier, maybe 05
Yeah.
earlier. Stormwater.
I mean,
not gonna-
at one
not gonna
time,
Praise how the stormwater was done at that point in time.
Right.
I will tell you, we have gotten really good at stormwater.
at one time, they were speaking about dewatering that creek or something, which I don't understand what that means, but nothing was ever done, you know.
We don't, that's more the county/DNR.
Yeah,
Yeah, what I've got up on the screen is one of the pages of the CSM that shows where the wetlands are located, where the creek is. Shows the limits of the shoreline zoning associated with the creek.
Mhm.
So that's all identified.
Can a person get copies of
as
that stuff?
Required.
Should be all on our website too.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I'd like
No,
that.
I will say a lot of these developments, especially like subdivisions that go in, where the water is running really fast off the property. They've been able to make it so it's more controlled and releases over time, where it actually helps that.
Yeah,
And it's, people can believe it or not, but I'll tell you, once you actually see some of these subdivisions go in, it really does work.
yeah, with the retention
Impressive.
ponds,
Yeah, it's actually impressive.
right, but that's a
Nothing's
small,
gonna stop 100-year storm, but I mean.
right, but I mean, that parcel that you're talking about making commercial right there on the end, that's a small section there, and then they're gonna have to really be careful what they do with that.
We won't know until they bring something forward on it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to make any public comments? Come on up, state your name and address, please.
My name is John Steer and I'm the property owner at the end of McLaughlin. And as far as the easement goes, ours goes back to something like 1959 with the McLaughlins. So if we need to get that turned in, we'll be getting it in soon. But my concern is like what John was saying was with the watershed coming out of there, that is a private road that was put in years and years ago. And there's just basically a culvert for that creek there, which in heavy rains and, wet times, it's getting blocked up and it's, causing water to back up all in that area because it's not a proper bridge under that road. And then I guess my concern would be if it's getting developed, the lion's share of who's using that road is the American Home Trailer Park. So, for maintenance wise, I just don't want to make sure that we're not on the hook for anything for it.
We don't have that agreement.
It's under the jurisdiction of the village of Lisbon, so it's between the property owners.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, John. Does anyone else wish to make any comments? Anyone on Zoom? Um. I guess if we addressed everything you feel, John, that we needed to address to this point?
I believe so, yes. I just didn't want those issues to all come up and have a lengthy discussion and not have the public have an opportunity like we gave these
Right.
people to respond. So if nobody has anything further on the, or any of the topics, I think we got it into the record.
Anything else for you, Warren?
Nope, nothing further to add.
Mitch? Okay, any final questions from the commission? And final call from the audience, anyone who wishes to make comments, again, once this is closed, it'll be between the commission and the applicant at that point. And there's nothing else on Zoom? No one else?
Nope.
Last call. Then close this hearing at 7:16. That will lead us into the regular plan commission meeting. Item 2 is citizens' comments. Does anyone have any comments to the commission at this time? Anyone on Zoom?
Sure.
Item 3 is approval of the meeting minutes. We have the September 27th, 2023 public hearing and plan commission minutes.
So move for approval.
Moved by Joe for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Go ahead, you can, go ahead.
Second by Becky. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 4, new business. A, discussion necessary action on the request by Dave Michael for Gospel Fellowship of Sussex for the property located at North 74 West 25332 Howard Lane, LSBT 0208.989 for the following. We have the site plan and plan of operation amendment to add a building addition with related request for a waiver. Chapter 11, Section 3, Parent J, to reduce the number of off-street parking spaces. Then we have the major grading conditional use permit related to construction of a building addition. All right, Warren.
So the main thing I just wanted to talk about, that we did not discuss during the public hearing for the major grading was that this waiver for the parking that's being requested. So the village requirement currently for auditoriums, churches, theaters, community centers, and other places of assembly is 3 spaces for each 4 seats. The church has a capacity which is stated on the site plan of 290 people. That means applying the requirement to Gospel Fellowship would require 218 off-street parking spaces. So the existing parking lot includes 108 spaces, including 3 ADA accessible spaces. Petitioners proposing a parking lot addition on the north end of the parking lot, which will add an additional 35 new off-street parking spaces, including 2 accessible spaces, for a total of 143 off-street parking spaces with 5 total ADA accessible spaces. So the proposed layout doesn't meet the village's minimum requirement. It does meet the petitioner's need per their application. I went back and looked at the proposed 2021 amendment to the parking code, which did include a proposal to change the standard to 1 space for each 3 seats. So, well, if you recall at that time, it was originally proposed that in the fall of 2021, both came on board early 2022. When we started talking with the plan commission about that topic, we narrowed the scope. We did not amend the other categories of uses. We just focused on retail at that time. And we adopted that amendment. We did not do a comprehensive amendment to all of the different parking categories. If that standard had been adopted and on the books today, they'd be required to have 97 spaces. So eventually we will address a comprehensive amendment to the parking standards with our zoning code rewrite that we're going to embark on next year. So that's a 121 stall difference between our current standard and what we looked at as a potential to adopt. So yes, they're technically requesting a 34.4% reduction of their parking. but they would be meeting the standard had we made that amendment. So I don't personally have any concerns with the request. I support approval of the waiver as requested. But the plan commission needs to make that determination of whether or not to grant the requested waiver.
And I guess I could say as far as parking, they've never had, because I live on Howard Lane, they've never had, parking on the road. They've never had parking down their driveway. I don't think they've ever run out of parking with their current size of the church. And I don't know that they're adding that much more seating in the church part that it would affect the parking that extensively.
I believe per the application, the amount of seating isn't changing as part of the proposal. So their capacity will remain what it is today at 290.
And like I said, I've never seen cars parked anywhere other than in their parking lot. They've never been parked on the road and they've never been parked down the driveway, and they've got a fairly long driveway.
They have room to put additional parking if a problem arose, or?
They do. There's space should a problem arise for them to, obviously that would require more grading and, we might be back to where we were tonight, but there is room on the north end of the lot to add more.
The reason I asked the question is some communities grant the waiver subject to reserving the right to require additional parking if a problem arises.
Don? What's your feeling?
No, I was just going because I think this is a question of actual membership versus baptized membership, because if they're actual members, if you have on a Sunday, it's 50 or 100, I mean, they're still well within the cone of parking.
I don't have any problem with granting the waiver to represent what they're presenting to me.
I don't have any problem with the waiver either.
Sherry?
No, obviously not. No, I don't have any problem with the waiver.
Okay, I'm okay with it too. I think that's, for this instance, I do believe it does fit, and we've obviously done it for the retail already, so. I don't have an issue with that.
Everything else is pretty straightforward. They're meeting all of the other requirements. That was the only instance where they weren't meeting the requirement. And we just ask that there be a separate motion for the granting of the waiver.
So I do have a question on the site plan of operation. I'm here on the business hours. We have Monday through Friday from 7 to 4. Nobody there on Saturday, and Sunday from 7 to noon for business hours, and then operating hours match exactly. So I guess my question for the applicant is there anyone ever there on Saturday? Is there anyone ever there past those hours?
On a regular basis, no,
Anytime.
sure. I mean,
So like if you're
yes.
gonna, like if somebody's coming to the church to do something on a Saturday, the way you wrote this, they can't.
Okay,
'Cause
then we might have to
you've
revise
indicated
that.
in your business hours that nobody's allowed to use this on a Saturday
Or Sunday. after-
Or
or
after,
Sunday after.
or after
noon,
12, and there's regularly cars there
Or
after 12 on
like if
Sunday.
you have an
I-
Easter
I
sunrise breakfast.
interpreted, yeah, I interpreted that differently as
Everybody
far as
does.
regular schedule, because,
Yeah, everybody does. It's
okay,
not
okay, that's fair.
This isn't, that's why it's being brought up.
Okay,
Would you have an issue if this were changed to 7 to 4, 7 days a week?
I think he's gonna need to go earlier next. What do you do on Easter?
I was gonna say Easter, and then like Wednesday nights we have service, so there could be other times where we go
Tell
later.
us when you want to have people on the property.
I don't think generally there's traffic, there's people there before 7 AM.
No, usually 7 is
usually
about
later.
the earliest, but again, there could be something where if we have something, we're starting at 7, people could come at 6:30, you're telling me now they're not allowed on the property at 6:30?
Well, wait, I think we don't wanna have them do it now. We have to table this, because I'm also gonna raise that I wasn't aware there were classrooms and well, I have lots of experience with churches, and I only get involved with churches, it seems, when there's a neighbor conflict. Okay, the neighbors have called and said, we didn't think churches meant having bonfires on every Saturday night, for Lent or something.
Sure.
And I just throw that out.
Sure.
And so I want to make sure in everything you do is not only the hours, but anything else you do is in your site plan and plan of operation. And that's more so the neighbors are put on notice that this is part of your operation. A lot of churches actually have now started putting outside service for, you know, Easter Sunday or midnight mass for the Catholic churches. And so if you need an opportunity to rework your hours or rework your activities, I think we should give them that chance. We can approve the major grading permit so they're not being delayed. And the site plan and plan of operation just has to really be done before they occupy the addition, right?
Mm,
I mean, we could grant the waiver, so they know how to build the parking lot. We can approve the major grading permit.
Well, they're building a building though.
Yeah, the addition
they just
is subject to
use
the site plan.
We've had many people come in and build the building and come Frito-Lay, you know, they built the building and then came back later with the site plan and plan of operation. I mean,
Why don't
I'm
we,
fine with that.
Blaze
Make sure you
is
get it
coming
right.
in next week.
I'd rather get it right rather than
Yeah.
misstate something now, absolutely.
it's for your protection.
Sure, that makes sense. Like I said, I misinterpreted it.
enjoy
It sounds like I'm not the only one, so. Okay,
And it's. Things have just changed so much. It takes one person who has a different ideology to come
Mhm.
forward.
There
and
was no.
Basically hit
hearing
churches and say,
based
well,
on
guess
these.
what? They're doing this outside of here. I want them.
so now they're in violation for sure.
Horrible time.
Permits is Site plan, plan of operations.
It's the time we live in, so
Yeah.
that's fair.
Right. The major grading.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm ready.
No, yeah, well, he said we didn't have a public hearing on the hours, and I said, well, that's really the major grading was the only public
Right.
hearing. This isn't a CU. Correct? It's not a CU. This
Nope,
is just
just
a
site plan.
permitted use. site plan,
Permitted use.
plan of
So
operation.
all you have to do is just come back at another plan commission meeting with it, correct?
Or we can approve it the way it is and he can come back, you know, either way, I don't care. But I just want to get it right for you, so you don't have a conflict later.
I don't want them paying another application fee.
That's, I understand that.
Thank you.
So whatever accomplishes that, unless you're willing to pay another application fee.
I'd
but
rather not.
I didn't
Right.
think so.
Attorney Macy, could they approve it subject to any revisions being reviewed by staff?
Well, my problem is he may be adding things like the outdoor
I don't know.
activities.
Yeah, I'd rather have it
If
just.
it were just hours of operation, I think we have the guidance from the plan commission that, you know, normal church activity hours of hours. If they ask for 24/7, 365, I'd probably say we're bringing it back, you know, but I have a sense that they do more than, I read the description and it just says, doesn't even say what the classrooms are used for.
And this is
Right.
more of a protection for you.
Sure. Well, like I said, I was looking at it more when is staff potentially gonna be there as far as working, because it's not. I don't know. It's not like a retail space.
Would you want to review this again and bring it back? And we just
Sure.
table this to another meeting? And but still, obviously, we'd have to vote on the major grading permit, which I'm assuming that's gonna go through, but we haven't voted yet.
Okay.
And the waiver you could approve tonight, it's
Yeah.
a separate item, because that's. You can't do your parking lot, so you know.
Yeah, so we could vote on the waiver and we could vote on the major grading and then we could just ask the table the site plan of operation until work it through with staff.
And then that would allow us to continue with plans for
Yes.
breaking ground, because obviously winter's coming.
Yeah,
Okay, then.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Commission at this point, good with moving forward that way? Go for it.
I would move to approve the major grading conditional use permit related to construction of the building addition as presented.
There's a second,
I'll second it.
and by Becky, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
And I'll make a motion to approve a waiver to chapter 11, section 3J to reduce the number of off-street parking spaces as presented.
I'll second.
Second by Sherry, what's the number we would be reducing it to?
To what they currently have,
That'd be that
whatever.
140.
143.
43, I think.
143, motion's okay with that?
Yes.
Second, and Joe, you're okay with that?
I thought they were adding some parking on it, and I thought 143 is what they had. I just want to make sure we're not.
What, 108 is what they have, and
Okay,
they're
it's
adding 35 to
143.
get to the 143.
Okay, to 143.
Second, okay,
Second, okay with that.
okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, then we'd be looking for a motion to table the site plan and plan of operation until the applicant requested to be brought back.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Sean, no discussion on a table, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, item B, discussion necessary action on the request by Sue Wagner, EP McLaughlin Trust for the property located at North 67 West 22070 McLaughlin Road, LSBT 0240.992.003 for the following. With the unspecified conditional use permit related to the non-conforming use, and then we have the 2-lot certified survey map. Public hearing on the unspecified conditional. Unspecified conditional use permit related to the non-conforming use and. Discussion, or is anyone looking to make a motion on that one?
We have to do this 2 separate motions, correct?
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit request as presented, including the staff recommendations.
Second,
Second.
Sherry?
Yes.
By Sherry. Any discussion? Staff has covered everything we need on that. Okay.
Yes.
Any discussion from the commission? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Then we have the 2-lot certified survey map.
Motion approved the CSM as presented to include staff comments.
Second? Sean? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, item C, discussion necessary action regarding November meeting date due to Thanksgiving holiday.
So we put this on the agenda simply because the November Plan Commission date falls on the night before the Thanksgiving holiday. So while we have time to do so, I wanted to verify that we will have a quorum available. Otherwise possibly look at alternate meeting dates.
I think 29th is the day. We need to move it to. Get over our turkey coma by then.
We can't come on the 29th.
No,
Nope, it's my daughter's birthday.
well, maybe we'll have it over there.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome.
Sherry, you good? What would you prefer?
I am fine with either Wednesday.
Sean?
Either Wednesday, so far so good.
I'm also good with either one.
I cannot make the
22nd.
yeah.
You're making us choose between you and Becky. She's closer to me, man. I don't want to get beat.
I know. She's a hell of a lot better looking too.
Well, no, you just have it on the 29th. I just want to be there. That's all.
I mean, any day that week is fine with me. I just cannot do it the night before. We got 60 people coming and there's no way I'm showing up here. Unless I'm living at your house the next day.
Holy cow. You gotta get that approved by the cat. What about staff? What is?
Second. I could do the following week.
I'm open to either. Orin?
I'm open to either.
I'm open to even.
We got 2 that can't make it on the 22nd, and 1 that can't make it on the 29th. I guess you're gonna get the money. You're gonna get the month off, Becky.
Okay.
It's gonna be a short meeting, so we'll be right over.
Yeah.
Let's set it to the 29th.
Thank you.
Need an official motion on that?
I don't,
Sure, as long as it's on the.
yeah,
agenda.
might as well.
I'll move the November Plan Commission meeting to the 29th. Is there
I'll
a second?
second.
Second by Sherry. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0 to
Thank you.
give Becky a month off.
You can have that one.
Item 5, unfinished business, discussion only regarding annual reports resulting from quarry inspections. We have the Land and Stone Products. Do we have that report? We
I
didn't have
never
that.
got it from him.
Well, we don't have a report to discuss. So we'll move on to item 6, planner report.
We have at least 2 items thus far for our November meeting. That's all I have to report.
Two small items. It'll be a short meeting.
jinxed us.
Whilst,
It's adjournment.
whilst we're all here, Joe, is everybody okay with 12/28 in December after Christmas?
We don't actually have that agendized at the moment. We'll have to,
Just throw, just so
we'll
everybody
have them,
choose and digest it.
we'll look at it for the next meeting.
I can put that on the next one.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Sean, no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Start at 7:35.
Wow.
Yes, I have to shut off the recording.
Right.
You are the woman.
Move that along.
So you want me